Hello Exiles, and this is Fusion Gaming, and welcome to my guide today on how to do juicing maps but expensive. Now if you come here from my budget video, thank you. If you've now progressed through the atlas and you now feel that you can now progress into juicing your maps to the point where it's now costing you quite a bit of money per map, then this guide will help you. So what I'd like to reiterate is, if you haven't watched my budget guide, because I am going to reference back to that, then go and watch that, and I will post the I'll post the link in the video in the description. But basically, in terms of obviously everything that I discussed in the budget video, imagine all of that, and then this is just a little caveat to that. So this is how you can then tweak it ever so slightly. Okay, so once you have got your map ready to the point in which you are then happy to then, let's say, add your Delirium Orbs on it. As I said in my previous video, there obviously are a series of Delirium Orbs that you can add on, like the gem one, the armors, the jewelry, whatever it may be. There are 3 Delirium Orbs which are more expensive typically than all of the rest, and I have them here. We have one which is the Diviner's Delirium Orb, which provides you with divination cards. We have the Skittering Orb, which provides you with Scarabs, and then we have the Fine Delirium Orb, which then provides you with currency. As you can imagine, these 3 are the most expensive. Now, out of the 3 of them, the one that is usually the biggest and the most expensive is Skittering. Just because of the Scarabs that it provides you with, you literally can walk out of there with a good 60, 70, 80, 100 Scarabs, depending on how well you do within the map. So that is the first thing. So you would obviously, instead of using those cheaper Delirium Orbs, you would use these Diviner's Skitterings or Fine. That is entirely which one do you want to put on for whatever reward you want to achieve. Second thing you would do is, instead of running rusted or polished Scarabs, which we spoke about in my budget video, you would run Gilded Scarabs. Or if you want to go to the absolute extreme, you could go for winged Scarabs. Now, winged, there is a big benefit. So as you can imagine here, if I take a rusted, So if I take a rusted, it adds 2 harbingers. A gilded adds 4, so that's double. A winged adds 7. So it's like nearly double. It's not exactly double. It's like 1.7, 1.8 on top of it. So winged will add in a lot of content into your map. Now, if you are running 4 winged within your map device, then that is going to be expensive, because typically winged Scarabs can be anywhere from between 30 to 40 C per Scarab. So that is what, 120 C just on Scarabs. So they are a very costly venture. But if you want to do that, entirely your device, entirely your preference. That is like to the absolute extreme in terms of juicing your maps. And this is what this guide is for. It's for expensive. So if you want to spend every single penny of your monies and juice it into the map, go ahead, go and do it. But effectively, I would say I go with Gilded, just because Gilded I think is a little bit more cheaper for your money, and it's, in terms of what you get out of the Gilded Scarabs, it's pretty similar. It's not obviously to the extreme cracked version of a winged Scarab, but it is very close. So Gilded is your next option. I would assume at this point as well that you have now completed your atlas, and I would assume that you have now got all 4 of your void stones. Now it's at this point, if you want to do what's called blocking your sextants. So what I'm going to quickly do here is I'm literally just going to throw 4 sextants on. So the way that you would do this is you would then block it. So let's say you wanted to get 4 specific ones. By all means, you can go to the trade site and go and buy them. But if you want to roll them yourself, the first thing you want to do is you want to roll a elemental type of damage on one of them. So this is cold, so leave that as it is. You want to roll another elemental one on another one. It doesn't, or a shrine. There we go, there's a shrine. And what I would usually do on the bottom one is I would then also roll another elemental one. So there's fire. So now we've got cold, fire, and shrines. Now what that does is it blocks out cold, fire, and any type of shrine from appearing on this top one. So if you now wanted to roll this one, you would only get every other modifier other than that. Now these are the most highest weighted in terms of ones that you would get. So let's say you was running Legion. We have one here which has a Legion encounter. Okay, now this is on Sextants. If you want to knock it up a notch, then you can roll elevated Sextants. Now again, as I said before, do you remember in the budget video I said that obviously it provides you with 3 uses, which you can increase to 4 from the Atlas tree. You can run a elevated Sextants, and what that does is it times the amount of uses that you get by 4. So instead of getting 4 uses or 3 uses, you would get 16 uses. Okay, so it would be 16 uses. So you would get 16 uses in total, which is 4 times more than you would get on a regular amount. Okay, now it's a case of that if you want to roll them like this, or would you want to buy them, it's entirely your decision. But elevated Sextants typically are quite expensive. They're usually 3 elevated Sextants for a divine. If you're lucky, maybe 4 elevated Sextants for a divine. If you would rather buy them on the trade site and buy the actual sextant that you want, then all you would need to do is when you go to the trade site, you just need to look for the exact sextant that you want and the exact wording that you want, and I would always make sure that the uses is 16, otherwise you are going to be losing out. So let's say you've rolled all of your maps. I've got an example here of a crazy map. As you can see here, it's an 8 modded map. It's 100% delirious. It's 120% quantity. I'm going to chuck in a bunch of gilded scarabs. I'm going to put on, let's just for the hell of it, let's put we can't put delirium on it because it's already got delirium, so let's add a ritual, which at this point I think would be like, I think that's also like 12 chaos. Let's add on a, well, because of the tier of the map, let's say I would turn on Eater of Worlds, and I would turn on the beasts. And what I would also then do is my Atlas tree would be optimized to exactly what I wanted to fit in with the elevated sextants to kind of proper make sure that I was making the most of it. And I would also make sure that the scarabs that I was running was also tailored to the content that I was running within my Atlas tree. So if you're running Legion and you want to make the most out of your legions and the quants and the drops and everything, then you would want to run Legion scarabs, because it would guarantee that you would get a legion in there, and then all of the extra modifiers that are within the legion section would then boost it even further. It's a case of that you need to be running content that is tailored to your Atlas tree, because if you don't, you're not going to be maximizing your profits. Okay? And the last thing that I would usually advise is make sure that you are running as high a map as possible. Now, I bought this map just because it showed 100% quant on it. Sorry, 100%, over 100% quant. It had 100% delirious, and it had a ton of mods on it. I just thought I would just show you this as an example. That is the effective level there you want to be, and if you can run multiple maps of these, you will be earning a lot of money. There will be so many drops, you will have to maybe use 2 or 3 portals to get all of the loot back. Okay, in terms of everything else that you can do, that is pretty much it in terms of how far you can juice it, you know, in terms of expensively. But if you think about it, if you've already spent, you know, a good couple, let's say you spent a divine on all of the Delirium Orbs, let's say you've then corrupted it and got it to this point, then let's say you've run Gilded Scarabs and you've put in all of these, or let's say you've run Winged, there's 120 chaos. The Delirium Orbs themselves may be 15 chaos to 30 chaos for the actual Delirium Orbs. Let's say it's 15 chaos each, and you've put 5 of them on, so there's what, 50, 60, 75, there's 75 chaos, plus let's say the Winged, there's another 100 odd chaos that you've spent, so there's nearly 200 chaos that you've spent. Then let's say you spent on elevated sextants, and you've got 4 elevated sextants here that are worth, let's say, like 2-3 divine each, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, so let's say that's let's say 3 divines each, so that's 3, 6, 9, 12, but you're going to get 16 uses out of it, so you would divide that 12 divine by 16, but then you've got to bear in mind that you're using scarabs for each one. The maps can start to get quite costly when you start adding it all up. This is the point in which you're at the point of like maximum juicing your maps. You cannot take it any further because the realms of they're just not there yet. Until we get maybe an upgraded sextant or an upgraded scarab, which I don't think we're going to get because we've kind of hit that limit now. I don't think we can go any higher than winged. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's sprouted wings and it can fly away, basically. Wings, so Scarabs. So where can we go from winged? Immortal Scarabs? Yeah, there's it's a case of that this is the absolute limit. So if you was to run this map right now, yes, it would be quite expensive if you had everything that I have just mentioned. It's very expensive, but if you have the money and you want to burn it and you want to see what you get, then good luck to you. That is pretty much it. It's a very short video, this, because there's only really 5 methods in terms of juicing them very hard. And basically, I hope that video helped you. Obviously, you would do everything that I've done in my previous video, but you would literally just switch up the Scarabs, the Sextants, and the Delirium Orbs, and that's it. Everything else is then pushed that little bit higher, and you'd push the bar higher and higher and higher until you feel that you can then manage to do those maps. Because as you can imagine, these maps will get more and more monsters, more and more mobs, more and more rarity. You get more rare monsters in your maps that will have more crazy modifiers. You might encounter 6 rare monsters in one room. Yeah, so you've got to have a build that can be able to withstand that type of content, or you are just literally just gonna melt. Okay. Any questions, anything you want to add, anything that you think that I may have missed, throw it in the comments and I'll more than happily revisit it, and I may do a part 3 of this. But yeah, if there's anything that you think that I've missed, I have checked this list extensively with a bunch of people and a bunch of other Discord users and YouTubers, and they've all said that I've covered everything off that they can think of. But if I have missed anything, by all means let me know, and like I said, I'll come back. If you want to know how to get through the axe faster, go to my channel. There is a guide there on how to get through the axe faster. By all means, check it out. It will help you progress your campaign. It will help you navigate through particular zones, and if you want a particular path that you want to take, it's entirely up to you. Again, it's personal preference. You don't need to follow my guides to the absolute T. They are there merely to serve a guide as to how to navigate through some particular zones. If you want to run it in a particular way, how you've done it previously, and it's the way that you've done it for the last 10 years, I'm not going to ask you to change that. I'm not asking you to suck eggs. I'm not teaching you how to suck eggs, sorry. It's more a case of that it's there just to help you in terms of how to navigate through a particular zone if you've always got lost in that zone. And I will try and talk to you about that zone and how you can get through it a little bit faster, and how the map is usually laid out indirectionally, which even if it saves you 10 minutes per act, over the space of 10 acts, that's an hour and a half. That will save you, and that's an hour and a half that you will then have in maps, rather than going through the campaign. Okay, thank you for watching. Stay sane, Exile, and I appreciate your time.